Oh, could it really be that the person standing right in front of me is my first love from 20 years ago? She still smiled brightly, and the way she handled the flowers was just as it had been back then. It felt as if time had stopped and my heart was shaking. I wondered, could she really remember me? Samuel, now 57, paused at the small flower shop at the end of a quiet alley in Boston. There, standing quietly amidst the familiar blooms, was Emily, his first love, a secret he had cherished in his heart all those years but never confessed. She still ran the shop, living her life quietly in her own world. The colors of the petals beyond the window were as vivid as ever. Roses, chrysanthemums, and tiny daisies bloomed softly, unchanged by time. "No way," Samuel muttered, barely audible even to himself. Emily, seemingly frozen in time, was gently trimming the flowers just as she had 20 years ago. Back then, Samuel had only watched her silently, admiring her laughter from afar, nursing a love that never found its words. And now, after all those years, their eyes met and his heart raced as if it would burst. He lingered for a moment, watching her before finally pushing the door open cautiously. "Hello, His voice trembled with expectation, anxiety, and the weight of long-held regrets. Emily looked up, startled at first, her eyes widening as they met his. Then, with a gentle smile, she said, "It's been a long time." Though brief, her warm greeting penetrated straight to Samuel's heart. Memories flooded him, the days they laughed together on the school playground, the thrill of exchanging their first letters, the countless moments when love was felt but never spoken aloud. All of it overlapped with the present, vivid and alive. Emily's delicate touch on the flowers, her careful selection, the faint lines at the corners of her eyes. Time had passed, but her presence remained powerful. Stepping inside, Samuel questioned himself silently. If I had said something back then, would we be here together now? But time could not be undone, and their lives had diverged completely. Emily continued arranging bouquets, a quiet smile on her lips, yet in her eyes lay the weight of life years of solitude running the shop alone, and her inner strength cultivated quietly over time. Samuel carefully picked up a bouquet, neat and modest, a mix of small chrysanthemums and roses. The texture of the petals, the gentle fragrance, and the traces of the past embedded in the flowers made his heart ache with complexity. "I can't believe we're meeting like this," he whispered to himself and looked up at Emily. She nodded lightly, a smile that conveyed understanding, delight, and the warmth that lingered despite the years. Samuel tried to speak quickly, but his lips wouldn't obey. The words he had rehearsed countless times were trapped in his chest. They were only a few steps apart, yet the distance of the heart felt immeasurable. Still, Samuel took another step closer, deciding not to hide his feelings. "It's really been so long, Emily. How have you been?" A simple greeting, but it carried all the emotions of the years between them. Emily met his gaze calmly but warmly, with a trace of the feelings she once held for him. "I've been well, Samuel, running the shop, still loving flowers." A small smile graced her lips. Her voice was as soft as ever, and hearing it made Samuel's tension and excitement swirl together. He stood in the corner of the shop, staring at her, overwhelmed by more than mere joy. It was the thrill of seeing his first love again, the regret for the years gone by, and the mix of feelings he could not yet name. As he watched Emily, he slowly realized a truth. Unspoken love does not fade with time, and in this very moment he knew his heart still belonged to Emily. He lifted the bouquet slightly and made a silent decision. I have to tell her even now. But he hesitated, mindful of the burden it might place on her, and the changed lives they now led. In Emily's eyes, softness and strength coexisted, drawing him even closer. Samuel realized love survives across decades and remains alive deep within the heart. Even when confronted again, yet love's expression had changed, and so had their lives. With these complex emotions, he considered carefully what he could do. Stepping forward with the bouquet in hand, from that day onward, Samuel could not leave the flower shop. He couldn't. Emily's smile, the delicate movements of her hands, the warmth in her eyes unchanged by time kept him there. Even at home, sleep eluded him. Lying in bed, he stared at the ceiling, replaying the brief conversation over and over. Loneliness. The word cut into him sharply. He had carried it for decades, just as Emily must have. What have I done with my life? He reflected on his years' marriage, children, a dedicated career. On the surface, a stable, ordinary life. But in every moment, a corner of his heart belonged to Emily, his first love, the one name he could never forget. The next morning, Samuel decided, I have to go back. This time I have to say it properly. His hands trembled. At 57, he had faced many challenges, but nothing as nerve-wracking as this. Before leaving, he checked his reflection in the mirror, adjusted his clothes, combed his hair, and steadied himself. It's okay. I can be honest now. When he opened the shop door, the familiar fragrance of flowers greeted him. Emily was still arranging flowers, as she always did. Looking up, she smiled, a little more relaxed than yesterday. You're back. Yes, I had something I couldn't say yesterday. Samuel's voice trembled, but it was firmer than before. Emily set down the scissors in her hand and looked at him. Curiosity, anticipation, and a touch of anxiety shimmered in her eyes. What is it? Samuel took a deep breath and slowly spoke the words he had never voiced in 20 years. I've never forgotten you, Emily. Not once. Time seemed to freeze inside the shop. Emily's eyes widened in surprise, a mixture of shock, confusion, and perhaps joy. Samuel continued. In school, seeing you made my heart race. Walking across the playground, the first snow, every moment is still vivid. But I was never brave enough to say anything. So the years passed. Tears formed at the corner of Emily's eyes. I knew, she said softly. Samuel blinked in surprise. What? I knew you liked me, Samuel. But I didn't have courage either. I never could say it first. They stared at each other in silence. 20 years vanished in an instant. The thrill and nervousness of youth returned, alive once more. Yet reality was unyielding. Samuel had a family, wife, children. Though it had been a loveless marriage, those years with them were real. Emily, too, had built her life alone, her own path. I'm already married, Samuel admitted. Emily nodded quietly. I expected as much, but my heart was always with you. I don't know if this is right or wrong. I just wanted to be honest. Emily closed her eyes briefly, then spoke slowly. Thank you. Hearing that, I feel my life wasn't in vain. I never forgot you either. Running the shop alone in the lonely nights. I thought of you wondering what if back then. Tears streamed down both their faces. Regret, longing, love, and pain intermingled. Samuel handed her a handkerchief. Emily wiped her tears and smiled softly. We've been foolish, haven't we? Yes, really foolish. From that day, Samuel visited the shop every day. At first, he pretended to come for flowers, but soon the excuse wasn't needed. They were happy simply spending time together, trimming flowers, sharing tea and talking about the years gone by.